Well, hey guys, if you are new here, my name is Andrea. I'm a board certified dermatologist, and in this video, we're going to be talking all about sun damage on the neck, otherwise known as Poikiloderma of Civatte. And I'm going to be going over the treatment options for this skin condition. What is with the name Poikiloderma of Civatte? It is quite a mouthful. Poikiloderma is a medical term that refers to skin changes that include all three of the following: dilated blood vessels or telangiectasias, hyper and hypopigmentation, that's dark spots and light spots, and thinning of the skin, otherwise known as atrophy. Civatte is the French dermatologist who first described this condition back in 1923. Now, Poikiloderma of Civatte is an acquired and chronic skin condition that most often presents in the 4th to 7th decade and is a lot more common in women than in men. Not only can it affect the neck, but it also can affect the lower face as well. And this skin change is characterized by red and brown patches in a lacy configuration with overlying dilated blood vessels, those are called telangiectasias, and variable amounts of atrophy of the skin, that is thinning of the skin. It typically affects the sides of the neck and the V-shaped area of the front of the neck, but it spares underneath the chin because this area doesn't see much sun throughout our lifetime. And it can, in some cases, affect the sides of the face as well. Poikiloderma of Civatte is gradual in onset and progressive. It is a chronic condition and there is no cure for it, but there are treatments, which I'll touch on later in this video, that can improve the appearance of Poikiloderma of Civatte. For the most part, there are no symptoms associated with this, but up to half of patients with Poikiloderma of Civatte may experience burning, itching, and rosacea-like flushing of the area that is affected, which most often, again, is going to be the sides of the neck and the V-shaped area of the neck. Why does this happen? Well, as the title of this video implies, sun damage is a major underlying reason for Poikiloderma of Civatte. When we look under the microscope of biopsies taken from areas affected by Poikiloderma of Civatte, we see a very characteristic sign of sun damage. It's called solar elastosis, basically damage to the elastic tissue in the deeper layers of the skin, and that is why you get loss of skin elasticity with sun damage. It's interesting though, many people who have Poikiloderma of Civatte, when you look at the rest of their face, areas of the body that are sun exposed, they don't have as much sun damage. Sometimes it's just sun damage isolated to this area. Why that occurs? It may be due to the fact that the skin on the neck is much thinner than the skin of the rest of the face, and we know that people often neglect their neck when it comes to sun protection, so it sees a lot more UV exposure. It's a lot thinner. The epidermis there is a lot thinner than other body sites, and it's just a lot more vulnerable in general. Given that women are affected by this condition more so than men, it is argued that there is an underlying hormonal component here. When women go through menopause, as estrogen levels decline, that actually affects collagen synthesis in the deeper layers of the skin, and that is what brings about more noticeable signs of skin aging with menopause, is basically deficiency of estrogen in the skin. It doesn't actually have anything to do per se with sun damage. It is loss of collagen with decline in estrogen, not necessarily due to UV exposure from the sun. As the skin loses elasticity with that decline in collagen, well, then the blood vessels are more prone to dilation, and then you get the formation of those telangiectasias, and overall the skin thins, hence the sign atrophy or thinning of the skin. Lending further support to the idea that hormones play a role in the appearance of Poikiloderma of Civatte is the fact that younger women who have to go through premature menopause as a result of maybe a cancer treatment, they manifest Poikiloderma of Civatte much, shortly after that occurs. So there's definitely a hormonal component involved. Men have just as much, if not more, sun damage over their lifetime as women. As a matter of fact, men are at greater risk for UV-related skin cancers due to perhaps greater cumulative lifetime exposures to UV. So the fact that this is more prominent in women definitely does suggest an underlying hormonal component related to decline in estrogen levels with menopause. And as with anything in medicine, you can always blame your family, your genetics. There is some data to suggest there is an underlying genetic component to this. It predominantly affects people of paler skin tone, Caucasians, And there are studies looking at families who don't live in the same area, are not exposed to the same hormonal influences, they don't have the same, relative amounts of sun exposure, yet they all have Poikiloderma of Civatte. The fourth reason is interesting. It hasn't been proven, but there's a lot of research to suggest that it definitely plays a role, and that is delayed type hypersensitivity to ingredients that come in contact with the skin, namely fragrance. I always talk about allergic contact dermatitis to skincare products and to fragrances. You can develop an allergy to ingredients and products, and it leads to rashes. But there is a more insidious version of delayed type hypersensitivity where you kind of have some chronic inflammation that you're not necessarily aware of. It can lead to discoloration. It's called a pigmented contact dermatitis. And there's a subset of that is thought to actually play a role in the pathogenesis of Poikiloderma of Civatte. It's just a delayed type hypersensitivity to fragrances like perfumes. A lot of people spray perfume on their neck. And again, the skin there is much thinner, much like the eyelid skin. Eyelid skin, neck skin, more vulnerable to not only sun damage because it's thinner, but also developing contact dermatitis. And fragrance on the neck is one possible mechanism by which Poikiloderma of Civatte ensues. Many fragrance compounds are also photoallergens, meaning when they are put on the skin and then exposed to UV, like when you go outside or sit by a window, the compounds in the fragrance convert to an allergen that your immune system recognizes, and there's some low-grade inflammation there that can lead to upregulation of pigment production. What can you do about it? It's important to realize and set your expectations moving forward that this is a chronic skin problem that is poorly responsive to treatment. That doesn't mean that things can't improve the appearance of Poikiloderma of Civatte, but nothing's going to permanently remove it and completely erase it. The first thing is sun protection. That can go a long way, not only in preventing it from getting worse, but in helping to improve existing hyperpigmentation that you may have within the areas affected by Poikiloderma of Civatte. And that includes wearing a broad spectrum sunscreen every day, including when you are indoors, because again, UVA rays, they come through window glass and they are responsible for hyperpigmentation and thinning of the skin. So sunscreen is really, really important, and it's never too late to start wearing sunscreen. A lot of people think that it's, they've already got a lot of sun damage. What good is wearing sunscreen going to do? It's going to prevent it from getting worse, and it actually can improve some of the current signs of sun damage by allowing your immune system to appropriately come in and clear up those damaged cells. Whereas if you continue to have unprotected sun exposure, the UV rays suppress your immune system's ability to clear out that damage. So the sunscreen is really important, as well as sun protective clothing, like wearing a scarf, for example, very important. The second thing to do is to avoid putting fragrance on your neck. Again, some fragrance compounds, they are photoallergens. A lot of people who have this condition do have a low-grade delayed type hypersensitivity to fragrance. So if you're a perfume fan, instead of spraying it on your neck, I always suggest people to spray perfume like on their waist, where there's no sun exposure and the skin there is, much thicker. So you can still enjoy your perfume that way. I would also suggest avoiding wearing metal jewelry around the neck, because metals conduct heat to the skin that worsens hyperpigmentation and redness and can make this problem get worse. Many people actually are allergic to certain metals and jewelry, and therefore that too can, feed into that contact dermatitis piece of things. That's not to say you can never wear metal jewelry, but I would definitely exercise caution with wearing metal jewelry if you were going to be out in the sun. Like if you go to the pool, you go to the beach, or whatever, I would leave your metal jewelry at home, because that certainly can worsen it. If you've watched any of my videos on melasma, another condition where you're, a disease of hyperpigmentation, I have pointed out that sunglasses with metal rims can worsen that problem. Think of it the same way here on the delicate skin of your neck. Anything that's going to conduct heat to the skin, like metal, and reflect and intensify UV onto the skin can make this much worse. Prescription hydroquinone, which is a skin lightening ingredient that is very evidence-based, can improve the appearance of the hyperpigmentation. If you've watched my videos on hydroquinone, you know it's not something you can necessarily use indefinitely. It can be very irritating, especially to the delicate skin of the neck, but it certainly is something that can be tried. And hydroquinone in combination with a low potency topical steroid for a few months actually can improve the hyperpigmentation quite a bit. The low potency steroid helps reduce some of the inflammation and irritation, and also inhibits that enzyme tyrosinase. I know I'm getting very technical here, but the combination of a low potency topical steroid and hydroquinone for a period of several months can improve this. But I suggest only doing that under the supervision of your treating dermatologist, because hydroquinone and topical steroids, they do have side effects that should be monitored. But that is something that certainly can improve at least the hyperpigmentation piece of it. It's not going to get rid of the atrophy. It's not going to boost up collagen in the deeper layers of the skin, however. What can boost up collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin, as many of you know from my videos, is topical retinoid like tretinoin. Unfortunately, again, the skin of the neck is thin, it's delicate, it's prone to irritation from tretinoin. A lot of people do not tolerate it at all on the neck. It's not to say it can't go there, but you have to go about it conservatively, introducing it very slowly, and mainly only using it a few nights a week. I do have a video on retinoid use for sensitive skin, so check that out. And I also have another video on anti-aging tips for the neck, and I think I talk about tretinoin for the neck there. So check those videos out. But yeah, tretinoin, after about a year of using it, it will help boost up collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin. That can smooth out and improve that skin atrophy and kind of rectify some of that. Again, not going to take it away permanently, but will help in improving the appearance of it. And tretinoin also will help with the hyperpigmentation. Unlike hydroquinone and topical steroids, tretinoin is safe to use indefinitely, provided you tolerate it. So it's something that you can keep using that will not only help with the atrophy piece of this, but also will help with the hyperpigmentation. Alpha hydroxy acids are another family of ingredients that, when used consistently, can not only improve skin texture and improve hyperpigmentation by exfoliating the skin, but they also may help in boosting up collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin, depending on how the alpha hydroxy acid is formulated. Again, this is going to be the case with pretty much any topical on the neck, more likely to cause irritation. So I do suggest, being very cautious, and it's best to see a board certified dermatologist to address this so that you can, be monitored for side effects. There are some laser procedures that certainly can help a lot. Pulse dye laser and intense pulse light, which isn't technically a laser because it has a lot of different wavelengths. Anyway, again, I'm getting technical. Pulse dye laser treatment, like V-beam, can improve the redness. Intense pulse light may help improve the hyperpigmentation. Pulse dye laser targets the dilated blood vessels, the telangiectasias, and can substantially improve the redness. Intense pulse light, which is again not technically a laser, it can improve the mottled hyperpigmentation, the discoloration, and just improve skin tone. And then lastly, fractional non-ablative laser treatment can improve the appearance of poikiloderma quite a bit through a variety of mechanisms. What exactly is this treatment? You may have heard of Fraxel. It is a laser that creates these little micro thermal zones, basically little columns of controlled skin injury through the epidermis and down into the dermis. They help by targeting the epidermis to shed cells that have pigment within them. So that gets shed and kicked out, and then they target in the dermis to boost up collagen production. So not only do you get improvement in hyperpigmentation, you also get improvement in redness, the telangiectasias, and in atrophy by boosting up collagen production. All right, you guys, that is Poikiloderma of Civatte. I've gotten several questions over the years to please talk more about this. It's something, again, it is a chronic condition. There's no cure for it, but these interventions certainly can improve the appearance. Hopefully some of the images I was able to show you in today's video illustrated what it looks like and how it can be improved upon. It's never too late to employ sun protection. It certainly can help in preventing it from worsening, and it can help in improving existing discoloration, allowing your immune system to effectively clear out some of the sun damage. On the end slide, I'm going to link my video on anti-aging tips for the neck, so check that out. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.